Hey there, my name is Carlos Berlitz and today I will present to you the step that I take for building some of the paper miniatures from Printable Heroes. Printable Heroes is an amazing artist. He has some art in the DM's Guild, but mostly I get them from his Patreon, where he has more than 3,000 patrons. I will put the link in the description if you want to check it out, and I'm sure that you will love it too. So without further ado, let's go to it. So here we have our set of paper miniatures. We have 6 zombies and 1 vampire that we'll be doing today in order to prepare ourselves to our Halloween adventure that is quickly approaching. So as we have a lot of miniatures that are similar, it gets much easier. Like you can see here that I already scored a little bit on this side where all of them bend together. I can fold all of them in one cut. So then I will be separating them, because as you can see we have our vampire that is a little bit in different size than our zombies. I will then separate them in 3 blocks. This block with these 3 zombies, this other block with the other 3 zombies, and then our vampire separated from all the other ones. So after having separated all 3 of them, you can see I did it with scissors. You can do it with a hobby knife. The way that you prefer, it's great. But remember, if you are using a hobby knife, please use a metal ruler. Otherwise, you will be chipping all your plastic ruler, or even your wood one. The next part, then, we will start with the vampire, since he is the main one. We will score then on the other parts where you need to fold in order to assist on that. I use a pen that doesn't have any ink anymore. The thinner the point that you have, the easier it will be. The way that using a pen helps is that it will crush the fiber of the paper, and then it will help to fold on that part. It will weaken a little bit on the part where you want to fold. Because the miniatures that I print, they are in a thicker paper in order to give them a better structure. So by weakening the parts where you want to fold, it helps tons in having a very easy fold and then a quality mini afterwards. After scoring, then you will want to fold it a little bit to let it already be prepared for that. And also it is great for after folding your miniature, you can see if you are really well aligned and everything. You can then see in the backwards where you need to put your tape on or glue. I use tape, a double-sided tape, because I think that it is better to give a better structure and it's easier and cleaner to use. I will use these 50mm ones. I have also this 12mm one, and I have a very thin one, a 7mm one. So you don't need all of them. These 2 are for that general purpose. This is specific for paper. You can find them easy on supermarket or even in some other hobby stores or anything like that. So I will measure a little bit here in order to not cut too much, but this is not a problem. Also, if you cut a little bit more, it will be outside of the bounds and of the boundaries, and then you just need to cut it out afterwards. The reason that I am using these 50mm one is because for this miniature it is a little bit taller than the other ones, and then it has a 50mm height, because as you can see here, it is floating, it's not standing on the ground. Afterwards we will do a small comparison with another miniature, a regular one, 3D miniature, to see that it fits greatly. After gluing, you can see that it will be a little bit on top of where I need to fold it. You can see there, it will pass a little bit. You can either cut it out or you can just put it like that and then make sure to really take care when you are cutting. I will cut it a little bit out. It's not that big deal. You can do how you prefer. It's not a problem. This one, and then you just finish. So you can see that it was very easy to put it like that. I will then use my hobby knife. You can use anything that is thin to just start pulling out the double-sided tape. And then you just need to fold it. Fold it really gently and calmly in order to keep everything aligned and to keep it straight. So after folding it, we will then proceed for cutting the border of it. Again, I will use scissors. If you want to use your hobby knife for that, feel free. There is no wrong way to do it. Just respect the borders and everything. As you can see, we have a little bit of tape on both sides, but we will cut it out once we are finishing the lining the borders of the miniature. I usually cut it flat here because I use sliding bases, but if you want to respect the boundaries for using the bases that will come with the miniatures, it looks great as well. So we finish cutting them. I try to cut as continuously as possible in order to facilitate the after step, the next one that will be using the marker to do the finishing in the borders. So we have our vampire, cut it out. You can see that there are some imperfections in the border. You can try to take them out only with your scissors or with your blade. You can do some finishing in variable qualities, but I will take it like it is and will then apply the marker afterwards. But first, I will clean it up a little bit to see if there is still some paper left, and then do the marker. You take a permanent marker, the broader the tip the better, and then just pass it around. This is a very important step in order to help with the finishing of the mini, and then afterwards it is much more visually appealing. And it helps to cover a lot of our mistakes that we could have done during the cutting part. But the art from Printable Heroes is really great in order to facilitate the cutting. So we can see now that we have our vampire. It looks much better, you can see. You still can see some of the part here, some of the border here. I will then finish it up because I missed a spot here. So now it's looking much better. Let's now finish with our zombies first. So we will start with one of the zombies set. I will first take out this part to facilitate. You don't need to be precise. You can see that it's not like really aligned. And then I will do all three of them at once. So I will take again my pen. You don't need to do a lot of, to put a lot of pressure on it, just a little bit in order to weaken the paper. These minis, they were not printed on photo paper. They were printed in coated paper or paper couché, that is the name that they call it in Brazil. It's a paper with a finishing coat on top of it in order to make it have a better quality of the printed afterwards, a better definition. So as with the other miniature, I will fold it in the correct places after I did some of the scoring. And then we have our 3 zombies. I will use now the other tape for these ones because the 50mm one is very thick in comparison with them. So first let's measure a little bit. As I said, you don't need to be really precise when cutting because you can just finish afterwards. There's no problem with that. You can just cut it out once you finish it, so. I always start with the base, with the closest to the base, because it's the most critical one that you want to respect the most. And then afterwards you can just follow its. The tip that I can give you is to put it against a very good source of light, because then it will highlight the border of it and then you can see where you have your tape and where you don't have them. So after we put the tape in all of one of the sides, I will then proceed to the next step, that is to remove the coating of the tape in order to be able to glue both sides. Then again, fold it carefully. I apply a little bit of pressure on that, and then we have all 3 of them glued already. So I will proceed to cutting them. I will do now the same for the other 3 that we did with these 3, and then afterwards I will put the pen in all 6 of them. After putting the tape in all of them, then to the next step. Finished cutting all 6 of them. And now we will proceed to the marker part. Now that we have all the 6 of our minions ready, they are still not based, but they will stand. Not that good, but they will stand. Nevertheless. And what we can do also is compare with Strahd himself, and we can see that the scale of the miniatures works really great with regular 3D minis as well. So you can mix between paper miniatures and regular 3D miniatures if you have some, and it will look great in your table. Also, Printable Heroes, he has a Patreon where you have also other kind of minis. You have like these Rakshasa ones that I need to print. I always print them in 100% because then the miniature itself will be in the right size. Maybe your printer will say, don't print like that, you cut some part out, but it will be just to the borders, so there is no problem with that. The link of the Patreon will be on the description, and also Printable Heroes has some amazing minis that he puts available on DM's Guild, like this amazing Arcus right here, that is a gargantuan mini, so you can see here that it fits really great on the scale size. So you could see the steps that I take for building some of my miniatures. As I mentioned, Printable Heroes, he is an amazing artist. His Patreon is great. I have a lot of miniatures from him, and the great thing of paper miniatures is that they are easy to carry and to take away with you. I usually use like these plastic sheets for putting cards. As you can see here, you can put more than one in each one of them, so it's really great. It fits even some large creatures as well. There is no problem with that. So that you can take them easy everywhere. You just like prepare one or two and then you can take and do a whole adventure with that. It's much easier than carrying regular 3D miniatures. Also, as I mentioned, all his miniatures has a back view. Even the amazing Arcus that we have here, he also has a back view, and they are very well detailed. You can find this one in the M's Guild, but I suggest you go into his Patreon and checking up on his amazing art. You can see there is a Rakshasa one that I printed in photo paper instead of the coated paper. You can see another one that is with the coated paper. So there is a little bit of difference because the photo paper is a little bit more glossy, and I prefer the photo paper because of the resistance against getting wet. So you can see that both the front and back view will be here, and then you just cut them and build them following the steps that I presented earlier. So once again, if you have any doubt, don't hesitate to ask. I will try to help the best as I can. You will have links in the description for the minis that I showed to you and for Printable Heroes Patreon, and check it out. They are great and they are really cost efficient, and it will help a lot. Printable Heroes and paper miniatures has a lot of advantages against 3D minis. So thank you once again, and see ya.